this. So it's important for artists, we all agree, I think most people agree, it's important for artists to understand organics versus inorganics versus hybrids and what each one does, the pros and the cons of each one, right? Because, or maybe not even pros and cons, but maybe how each one performs or doesn't perform in all these different scenarios. Do you think it's important to educate the client? Do you educate the client, or you just pick one, put it on them, and you know best? The client doesn't need to know. Or are you the type of artist that, no, you tell the client the difference and why you're picking that? You do.
Yeah, I do, because I think that it's informed consent. And for it to be informed consent, they kind of need to know what I'm doing. I do understand that most people think it's eyebrows, and that girl down the road does eyebrows, and there's the other girl and she does eyebrows, and it's all the same. And actually, we can be using very different pigments, very different techniques that are going to heal differently and last differently.
Yeah.
So I'll usually will tell them, you know, if someone's coming to me for very natural results and she's a more mature lady with thinner skin, then I'm gonna go in organic, and I may even dilute it as well. And I'll generally talk them through this, because if that's what they want and they're a little scared of something being too bold and punchy, I'm going to talk them through my choice, so that they know that I'm educated in it, because we can always go bolder down the line.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I talk to my client a lot too, and even while I'm tattooing them, I talk. Like, I'll tell if their skin's bleeding, you know, I'll kind of tell them, oh, your skin's bleeding on me. Or if I get a little area where it's not taking color, I'm like, oh man, I can't, this spot's not taking good for me. And I'm going to put a little numbing. I talk out loud while I'm working on my client. And I always have. And I don't even know if it's intentional, but it's become very valuable. So that way they don't expect magic from us. You know, I think it's really good for the client to understand what their skin is doing in that moment while we're working on it, whether it's being resistant or being challenging, you know, and those sort of things. So they don't expect magic, because I think a lot of clients, you know, they're looking at Instagram, which is highly edited, it's fixed, it's not real, they're all fresh procedures, and I think they're you know, and we're paying the price for that. I think these clients are coming in and they're expecting their brows to heal how these edited brow pictures look on Instagram. And I'm like, no, that's not real. It's not real. So I do agree with you. I think it's important to like educate them and talk to them and get their expectations more realistic, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And talk about the difference between makeup and permanent makeup. And, you know, it is going to look like it's like a little bit of like stocking over it or something. It's not going to stay fresh looking like that. And actually educating them on what they're going to heal like. And certainly if the skin's not, you know, bleeding, I will talk them through it as well, because I think that helps also manage their expectations if it's been difficult, you know, because if it is going to be a little bit blotchy, as you said, you'll know that we did have a bit of a hard time.
Yeah.
And we still get clients like that. With all the preparation in the world, you're still going to get people who bleed or are really lymphy.
Oh, of course. You know, and I think there's more of that type, that challenging, resistant, difficult skin type more now in my career than like ever before, like the last like 5 years or so. You know, when I first started, it just seemed like there was less of it. And it seems like now there's more difficult, challenging skin. And I'm not really sure what caused that evolution. I'm not sure if it's we're more stressed out now, you know, because stress can cause, you know, stuff with our skin and our, you know, whatnot, or how everything affects our facial skin, right? Everything, our medicines, our mental health, our physical health, the outside elements, everything affects our facial skin. You know, it could be more Botox, more fillers, more, you know, peels, more aesthetic things that we're doing. And, you know, women aren't waiting until they're 40 and 50 years old to do those cosmetic, you know, enhancing procedures anymore. I mean, they're doing them at 20 now, you know, and even younger in some cases. So I have definitely seen, I don't know if you've been in the industry long enough to see that evolution of, you know, more skin getting more challenging. But, you know, I certainly have, and a lot of people that have been tattooing as long as I have, you know, we've all kind of seen that. We're dealing with just more difficult skin nowadays than we ever have before.
And sometimes people are difficult one time and not another time. Personally,
Yeah.
My friend does my brows, and I had an ombre with a 1RL beautifully pixeled one time. The second time it needed a 7 Magnum because I was bleeding so much. And you're like, huh?
Right? It's like, yeah, right. I know. It's like, yeah, no, 100%, 100%. Yeah. And I'm wondering, like, sometimes when I'll first tattoo a client, if like their skin's like gets super hot and red and lymphy and awful, like, you know, at their touch up, it tattoos much better. And I'm wondering if we toughened up the skin a little bit on that first session, right? It's like toughened up the skin a little bit. And so for the second session, it's not as, you know, it's not as wimpy, you know, it's a little tougher and it can kind of take the procedure like a little bit better. So I have noticed that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me too.
as well as you.